Hey, Algebra 1, wanted to start by filming a video for those that chose option B to help you kind of set up all your accounts for Delta Math and get my teacher code all set up properly, and go ahead and start talking a little bit about the first assignment. And so I left this announcement up so you can follow these details and look back at this on a regular basis so that you can see more details and more links to support videos to kind of help you walk through your process. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to Delta Math, and you do not have a login, and I'm going to pretend like I don't either, and I'm going to create a student account. And I had mentioned the class code in here, 780423, so I'm going to control copy that so that I can go over here and control V, paste it in, or you can just type in 780423 and you should see my name pop up. And so I'm going to select Algebra 1 as the period, and I'm going to start typing in my first and last name, which should be your first and last name. This is just an example. I'm going to use this as kind of an account that I can log in each day from the student view to kind of support you. And so I'm going to use just a personal Gmail account that I have set up for this, because I may have to verify my email, and I'm gonna just make up a password here, and I am going to make sure that everything looks good, and I'm gonna create my account. So it says your account's been created successfully, and now I'm gonna use that information here to sign in for the first time. And let's look at what we have here. And so the first thing it looks like, it says you have upcoming assignments, we got some sequences, we got some linear functions, we got some linear systems in here twice. I'll make sure that I only have it in here once. But we're going to start with the very first one, number 1, linear functions. Looks like it's due on the due date of May 18th. And so I'm going to start by clicking in one of the skills. And let's kind of take a look at what kind of work it's got me doing. So it says, what is the missing number? And it gives me a table of information. And so it says I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, I'm missing the output. And so I kind of start looking at these other values of the output, 4, 11, 18, 25. And you can kind of see that there's a pattern here. If you subtract the numbers, it looks like they're going up by 7. So 4 plus 7 is 11. 11 plus 7 is 18. Plus another 7, 25. So let's add 7. And I think that next number is 32. And so you want to submit that number, I sure do, and then it says I am good to go. So a few things that you want to pay close attention to is that it says I got 1 out of 5. That's my score right now, and it may be lower because of a penalty. And so penalties, when you miss a question, it could take 1 off, but you can always just do more questions. So once you've got 5 out of 5, you should be good to go. Let's do another problem just to kind of get an idea of what this is doing on more than just one problem. So I want to have you look up at the very top where there's this little calculator icon, and I can use the calculator here if you don't have one at home. And so like I was showing you, I want to do the second number minus the first number. So I see that second number is -3. And I want to subtract the number in front of it, which is -6. And so I had to play with this for a minute to kind of figure out how negative numbers work, but they just use the minus sign as a negative. And so over here it says it equals 3. And so that means I'm adding 3 over and over and over. So I'm -6 plus 3 is -3, -3 plus 3 is 0, plus 3 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. And so I want to basically continue working this up until I have all 5 correct. And once I have all 5 correct, I can back out and it will save your progress. Of course, I only did 2 out of 5. I'm supposed to do 5 out of 5. And so I'm going to go ahead and spend the next few minutes kind of going and doing a few of each section. Finding the slope graphically. So we talked a lot about graphing, rise over run, slope, and all that during the course. And so everything that I'm giving you is really a review of all the things that we talked about in the class. It's nothing new. So we talk about rise over run. It's wanting me to talk about the slope of this line. And it looks like it says click twice to apply each segment and then click a segment to delete it. It really just wants me to know, it says draw a line representing the rise and a line representing the run of the line and then state the slope. So it looks like it goes down, maybe I'll go all the way to here, -2. And then it goes all the way over also to 8 here. So I'm going to kind of show 2 lines there. And then I want to think about, well, what does that mean? That means it went down 10 from 8 to -2. It's going down 10, and then it's going over 8. And so -10 divided by 8 is an answer, but I bet it wants the most simplified form. And so if I really went in here and looked at better points, I could say, well, in this first one, you can only graph 2. You may click assignment to delete it and redraw it. So I think that's what I want to do. I wanted to basically kind of rethink of this in a more simplified way. Trying to delete it, so I want to click on the line itself. So really, it could be going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it could be going over 4. And the reason why I can kind of figure that out from that first answer, -10 over 8, this really simplifies. If you divide each one by 2, you get -5 over 4. And that simplifies to be a better value because that's what the slope is in a more simplified answer. So let's submit our work. And it says we are good to go. Draw down 5 and over 4 with a negative slope. Now I'm not a huge fan of the way they did it here because this makes it more feel like it's run over rise, but it's still accurate in the way that it is drawn. And be careful, I always try to think about it as like rise over run. Think about how it goes up and down first before it moves left and right. Let's try another problem. So it says, again, draw a line representing the rise and a line representing the run and state the slope of the line in simplest form. So I do want to find, here's the y-intercept. That's a good point. And then finding the next good point, I may have to go back a little bit to determine, I think that's really the next good point. So I'm going to, draw my horizontal line for my run. Here's my rise. And then I kind of want to study this pattern. And so it looks like that first time it's going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 5. And then let's divide that by going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now anytime that you are using a computer to do division, it's that little slash, little forward slash, kind of like right here. Here's a forward slash right here. The very beginning of that link. So let's submit our answer. And again, I think it says it is not correct. Try to find your mistake, and you have 1 attempt remaining. And so it says that I've made a small mistake, and maybe it's because I don't have one of my points perfectly. I like that point. Let's see. Ooh, maybe it's right here. Maybe that's more of where it should have gone. So I wanted to kind of show you what happens when you do one wrong, and it's easy, especially that looks so close to hitting your y-intercept there. And so it looks like it's going down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll try that again. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, and then right there hitting I agree. So be very careful when you are reading it. And I could, if you have a keyboard, you can do Control+ and it'll zoom in for you. And yeah, you can tell when you zoom in that doesn't quite hit that y-intercept of 7. So let's submit our answer, and it says yes, and then we're good to go. And so just keep doing extra problems if you miss one. Be real generous because I know that this can be tedious. It's really about the effort and going over things before you take the assessment in Edulastic. What is the slope of the line that passes through the points -8, 3 and -8, 2? Write it in simplest form. So I'm going to pause the video. So I wanted to take a moment to put the problem in a space where I can kind of work it out a little bit with you and kind of talk about the formula. And I expect you to kind of do the same thing with your own scratch paper as you practice these problems. So I want to do some quick labeling, I think, of what they gave us in terms of information. Both of these have x values and they have y values. So any point, anytime you get an ordered pair, it's made up of an x point, x number, and a y number. And so this formula is trying to get us to use the y's, find their difference, take the x's, find their difference, and then divide them to find their rate of change, or what is it doing on average on the graph. So y2, that would be the second value in that y position, so that'd be the number 2. And then we are subtracting y1, which would be 3. And then we also have our x terms, -8 minus the other number, which is also -8. And so this is kind of a special situation because when you are looking at the bottom here, -8 minus -8, that is 0. And so it really doesn't even matter what the top is. That does come out to be -1, but you cannot divide by 0. And so this is the word undefined. It's kind of like infinity because you really can't divide by 0. And so that's why I want to choose this word undefined to submit my answer. And of course, it likes it. So let's look at another one that maybe doesn't turn out to be as simple as that. I'm going to pause the video. So they gave us a different set of numbers, 2, 0, and also they gave us 32, -5. So I really want to go through that same process. I want to subtract the y values, the second one minus the first one. And then I want to divide by the second x value minus the first one. Sorry, it's sloppy. It's hard to do with my mouse pad. So this gives us -5 minus 0, which is just -5. And 32 minus 2 would be 30. And so this may be an answer that you get, but it's really not the best answer because it really wants it in the simplest possible fraction form. Kind of has to go back to that idea of slope. You may go down 10/8. More simply, you're going down 5/4. So when I think about 5 and 30, these have factors of each other. So, you know, -5, that's -5 times 1. And 30, that would be -5 times -6. And so when I think about they have -5 as a factor, they can kind of cancel out and you're left with 1/6. And so I think that's the answer I'm going to attempt to type in here, 1/6. Let's submit my answer, and it likes it. So there's the first few. That'll get you started. Check back in. I'll do another video kind of walking through the next few, and I'll keep updating my Canvas video. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.